If you clicked on this video, I'm willing to bet that you're an aspiring filmmaker. Let's get this out of the way. You're probably expecting me to tell you how to get into the industry, how to get those connections, if you should go to some kind of film school, or what kind of classes, or even online courses I recommend. I'm sorry, that's not what this is going to be about. Maybe for another video. These are topics that might vary person to person. We are all in different situations. We all come to things sooner or later. Film school might not be the path for you. There are great directors that went to film school, and there are directors that decided not to go to film school and strongly advocated against it. There isn't really a correct answer to this. It doesn't change that the audience only care about one thing. Is it good? Is it even great? When I ask what a great movie is, you're going to get a lot of different answers. You could have a bad movie with all the money and resources in the world thrown at it. It's still a bad movie. And isn't that such a waste? You could have a good movie that might look terrible. It might have really bad production value. But it doesn't matter. It's a good movie, and people still talk about it. You might be like me, and you want to make good movies. You might even think that you have one of the greatest cinematic universes bottled up in your skull, but you may never get around to writing it. And there could be a lot of reasons. And by the way, this is really common. You're not special. So what are you going to do about this? You have to ask yourself questions like, is this even what you want to do? Think of it as playing a musical instrument. Unless you were forced against your will to do this as a child, most people never pick up an instrument again after school. But the ones who do, they always wanted to. They love it. They have a passion for it. It's almost like they were made for it. Ever since I was a kid, I had a love for stories, and not just with movies or filmmaking. I watched a ton of movies, and I loved them, even watching them multiple times and studying what made them so good. But it's for me, it's deeper than that. I had a love for stories. I would immerse myself in literature, specifically old literature, stories that withstood the test of time. And at times, reading could be difficult because, for me, it was hard to focus on one thing for too long, and there are a lot of people I know that struggle with this also. When I say a deeper level, I would look at a painting or a piece of artwork, and I would see a story behind it, most of all. Sometimes I would go for a walk in nature, and I could look at a tree or a mountain, and I could see a story, and I would want to sit down and write it almost immediately. If you're new to my channel, you might notice, judging by a few of my videos, that I do a lot of smaller scale filmmaking. And some of my earliest memories, I always remember having a keen eye for aesthetics. I was always fascinated with miniatures specifically. A side hobby of mine that I still do today is crafting model ships and even medieval castles. I'd create dioramas. I enjoyed that. For me, it's less about crafting these miniatures, and it's more about the story that could go with it, and that maybe I could share it to the world one day. As time evolved, I found myself having a small Sony Handycam. It was one from like 2012, but I would film things all the time with it. I would even write scripts and write different documentaries, and after school, I would just go around and film whatever I could. I would even film some of my friends. I would even attempt to try to make my own zombie apocalypse movie, and it was absolutely terrible, but I wanted to make something good, and I learned a lot from that original movie. As time progressed, I found myself on Instagram doing some photography for a few of the models that I made, and I got quite the following, and that evolved to something a little bit more. What if I could film them? And I would just do some test shots, and all throughout high school, and of course we had COVID-19, you had a lot more time at home. I would just do some home films with like miniatures and pretty much anything I could find around my house, just even action figures that I owned. And I would just do little home movies, and it was nothing I had any intent on posting. But looking back on those projects that I was making as a kid, I actually made things that were really good. And yeah, you can tell that it was made by a 14-year-old. A lot of the stuff would be called cringe by many people watching it, and they would be right. It's stuff that I would never share publicly. But
without those original projects, the learning curves that I experienced, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, where I'm actually consistently uploading. And without some of those original videos I was making, I wouldn't have even explored the avenue of stop motion projects, which there's quite the community of on YouTube. And if you are somebody that is trying to get better at this, you're trying to even get into the industry, you can't give up on it. It is slow. Oftentimes you're going to feel like that you're getting nowhere. You might meet some people, you might get some connections, you might even get behind the camera a couple of times, and then after a few months, it's just a dead end. And what do you do after that? But you can't stop. The greatest film school that you could have is just making films, and you got to keep doing it. I cannot stress this enough. I love those older stop motion films, the ones that many might consider outdated today, but I appreciate them for being so simple but yet creative. Most importantly, they compelled me to try to make stop motions of my own. Their simplicity encouraged me, and it seemed feasible that I could create something just as creative. Their budget restraints and even limitations were almost used as an advantage, and in the end, you could feel the blood, sweat, and tears put into some of these projects. Needless to say, being an artist or being a filmmaker or just a creative person in general is sort of the same thing as having a passion for music. You can't manufacture this. You can't manufacture a masterpiece. Not that there aren't very creative people that have written bad things, but they're still creative people, and those books or movies, even if they are bad, stand out for a reason, even for all their flaws. You can't be fake. People don't like fake, and you can only hide it for so long. There are many videos on YouTube surrounding the topic of what makes a good movie, or how to write good dialogue, how to write better scripts, how to even write a better novel. And some of these videos have a lot of valid points, and you should watch some of these. You should get different opinions. Never listen to just one person or just one source, especially with a topic such as this. Really, what it comes down to is you have to write from your heart and from your soul. You can't rush this process. You can't manufacture it. You got to just sit down sometimes, and you got to do. Sometimes you just have to write. You just got to film. Even if it's bad, you got to keep going. And you have to keep doing it. You have to have discipline, and you have to maybe even rewrite it multiple times, and that is completely normal. Something genuine, something that speaks to the audience or even inspires them, or movies that I have come to love that make me feel something. I want to feel something. There are so many movies and shows nowadays that I watch, and when it's over, I forget about it. I didn't feel anything. Or they are so similar to other movies or other series, it's just mediocre. And I don't like that word. I think that it's often misused or thrown around a lot nowadays, and it's annoying, but here it's valid. It's okay to be different. Different isn't a bad thing. It's okay to take risks. And what you're going to be surprised or even discouraged by is this is not what studios are wanting. They want to play it safe. They have a standard that they follow like it's a religion. But we know better, that they're out of touch. You can't tell people what they want. You can't even give people what they want. You got to give somebody something that they didn't know they wanted. That's what you have to give the audience, because it's impossible to please everybody. You have to know your audience. You have to get familiar with them. You have to have an idea. You have to have an intent with what you're wanting to do with your stories. You have to think outside of the box. You might not be able to afford a $900 camera, or you might not be able to pay a monthly subscription to Adobe. For me, I don't use Adobe. I'll use literally anything else. It's not going to be one select editing software. You're going to find yourself using a mix of everything. You got to get creative. It's going to be slow. Sit down, get a piece of paper, write it on your computer if you prefer typing. It's not going to bite you. Write a script. It's going to suck, but write a script. And if you're not satisfied with it, start again. Take a break for a couple of days. Have some other people read it. It's great to have a second opinion. And give it a go. If you have to use your Superman action figure, then whatever. But you got to keep filming, and you got to keep doing it. You got to learn the ins and outs of film. And I cannot stress this enough. the best film school that you can have is just filmmaking. Just do.
I don't care if you are Steven Spielberg and you have many film credentials underneath your belt. You're still a student. You are a student, and you're going to be as long as you're a filmmaker, or even just an artist in general. You're going to be a student throughout your entire career, no matter what you do, because you're always learning till the day you die. It might even be discouraging for you to hear, but it's the truth. No matter what, you're never going to be fully satisfied with your work. And you got to use this as a motivating factor that with each project that you pump out or that you release, you got to make it better than the last.
There should be nothing stopping you from making movies at home with anything that you have. There should be nothing stopping you from getting out there in the world and making those connections and making those first steps into the industry if you can. You got to play their game for a little bit, but if you can get past that, you can maybe create something that could be timeless. All it could literally be is just scrolling on Facebook and you find a film con in your area and you can introduce your script to them and you got a movie made. That's all it can take. Knowing that one person that knows somebody else. You got to find your people. Your people are out there. Maybe you're not meant to meet them now, but in the meantime, at home, while you're working, when you're off at your job and you have a couple of days to yourself, sit down, write that script, maybe try to film it. It's nothing that you have to post. It's just nothing you even have to talk about with other people, but it's something that you're doing. It's practice.